Hey guys, what's going on? reallygoodpie here, and welcome to the Create Your Own Website tutorial series. This is episode 2, so if you haven't already followed tutorial 1, I suggest you do that. That covers the basics like setting up your programs, your local server, your text editor, and stuff like that. Now, just before we get started, I want to point you over to my website, reallygoodpie.com. In this website, we have over 52 tutorials as of date, and obviously there's a new tutorial added every couple of days. Now, just before we get started, I just want to talk to you guys about reallygoodpie. If you're interested in posting your tutorials on this website and obviously driving more traffic to your channel and videos, head over to the reallygoodpie contact page and leave a message, and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. Now we can actually start this tutorial. Now, open up your WAMP, which I told you to download last time. I have recently changed to XAMPP because I've had some compatibility issues with WAMP, but if you got it working perfectly last time, you should be alright. Now, start Apache. Now, Apache is the web service, and that allows us to run PHP, which is what we'll be doing in this tutorial. I know I said we wouldn't cover PHP until later on in the series, but I recently decided just to make it one of the #1 things to learn regarding web tutorials. So once Apache's started, go ahead and open up your go into your local disk, and if you're using WAMP, I recommend you obviously you have to go into www folder and create a new folder. I'll just be doing this in XAMPP, and if you're using XAMPP, head over to your htdocs folder, create a new folder, and name this whatever you want. I've named mine Website Tutorial Zeros, as you can see here. And then we can close the file directory, or the Explorer, and go ahead and type localhost into your browser window. This should give you a listing of all the files that you have within your localhost server. And if you go over to your folder, you should see nothing listed there. Now we're going to actually open up our text editor of choice. I will be using Sublime Text, and I recently purchased that, and honestly, I think it's one of the best text editors of choice. It costs $70, it's not that expensive, and it just makes programming so much more enjoyable. Obviously you can use the free alternative Notepad++, which is quite good as well, or you can use Notepad++ if you really must. I do not recommend doing that. Now, if we go ahead and create a new document, now we're going to do what we covered in the last tutorial. We're going to declare the document type, HTML. Then we're going to open up the head tag, HTML tag, and this defines the HTML content. Then we're going to open up the header tag, and then the body tag. Now, if you don't remember from last tutorial, the head tag is basically the brains of the web page, and that's used for defining like style, titles, links to other documents, JavaScript stuff, and various other things. And then the body is used to display the content on the page. Now, create a title. You can name the title whatever you want to. So mine's going to be really good pie tutorials. And then in the body, you're going to just simply type "this is a test," and this will ensure that you have the right document open. So if you refresh your folder page, you should be given the name of your folder. If you haven't saved it already, I recommend you save it as index.php, and you should just be automatically brought to that page. Now if you refresh the page, for some reason it's not working as I expected. Just give me a couple of seconds. And this should work. No, it's not gonna work. Oh, sorry, I haven't closed off the title. My bad. There we go. Alright, so you should see the text that you just typed displayed on the screen. If you don't, try and find where you saved the file and obviously open that, or move it to your www folder or htdocs folder. And if you have that, we can begin starting with PHP. So right now we're just going to test that your PHP actually works. So type in the less than sign and the question mark and then PHP. Now this is similar to the opening tag of HTML, and then we're going to close the tag using the question mark and greater than sign. So what we're going to type in here is PHP info and then parentheses, which are brackets, and then a semicolon. Now this is calling the PHP info function, and obviously in PHP you have to end every line with a semicolon. So go ahead and save that and run that. You should be given a whole list of everything. You should have your document settings, your computer settings, your server settings, your everything settings, and that should ensure that your PHP is working. If you are displayed with like an error or something like that, I suggest you hit up Google or Stack Overflow or something along the lines of that, and they should be able to help you out. Okay, so now that you've confirmed that PHP is working, we can actually get into PHP. To start off with, we're going to cover some print functions. The difference between PHP and HTML for now is that you cannot just simply print some text. Nothing is going to be displayed here, and most likely if you do not have errors turned off, as I do, you'll get displayed with a big red box saying scream error or something like that. Now to print something in PHP, we have to use a function called print. Now if we print hello world followed by a semicolon, you see that it's printed there exactly the same way as it is with the HTML. Now print isn't usually just used to print some static text, it's usually used to print some variables, which we'll be covering in the next tutorial, or function, the values of a function or stuff like that. We can use print in both parentheses and without parentheses. So as you can see here, this will still work exactly the same. And an alternative to print is actually echo. This works exactly the same as print, and if you go ahead and run that, it prints out hello world exactly the same. Now that is the basics of printing out stuff to the web page using PHP. Now we're going to cover some basics of variables, and a variable is basically a named memory location that holds a value. So let's say we have the date, and that is stored somewhere on your computer, in your RAM or something like that. It's basically just memory. Now memory is obviously volatile, meaning that if your computer is turned off, the memory gets wiped, and that is the same concept with PHP variables and other variables, unless you're saving it into a database or something like that. Now if we go to create a variable in PHP, we type the $sign and then the name of our variable. So for this variable name, we're going to type goodpie, not goodpie, goodpie, and we're going to set that equal to a value. So now we can print this variable using the simple print or echo function. I will be using echo for the purposes of this tutorial series. Now if you go ahead and save that and then run that, you'll see that it prints out hello world, which isn't, even though it's specified it to print goodpie, we're actually printing the variable value. So hello world is the variable value of goodpie, so it's going to print the variable value. Now we can do this in double speech marks as well. So if you go ahead and save that and then run that, it will still work the same way. That's because double speech marks basically, you can pretty much print any syntax into double speech marks and it will still run. Single speech marks, however, are a bit of a different story. If you go ahead and save that and then run that, you see that it actually prints the variable name. That's because this is not being interpreted as a variable, it's being interpreted as a string, which is a collection of characters and integers and stuff like that. So I guess that's the basics of variables. We can set variables equal to numbers as well. So let's say num1 is equal to 22, obviously semicolon, num2 is equal to 8. Now we can do basic math with PHP. So if we want to do num3 is equal to num1 plus num2, and then we're going to echo num3, and we should get the value of 30. So go ahead and run that. As you can see, we get 30. If we do 22 times 8, which is equal to 176, I believe. I don't really know. And we just do the simple times symbol. We go ahead and run that. We're going to get nothing, because PHP times doesn't work the same as it works on paper. We have to use the asterisk symbol, and that is basically the multiplication symbol. So go ahead and run that. 176, as I stated before. We can also do division, so 22 divided by 8 is equal to 3. Now you might be thinking, it doesn't go into 8 3 times, 22 3 times, and that just completely ruined what I was going to say. In most programming languages, it either prints out an integer, which is basically a whole number, negative or positive, and you do not get the decimal values. Now obviously it's printed out perfectly, so 2.7.5. It's printing out a float value or a real number, which is any number including fractions, decimals, anything like that. So as you can see, we can do some basic maths with PHP, and we've covered basics of variables and stuff like that. And that is all for today's tutorial series. If you want the source code of this tutorial, it will be in the description, and it'll actually be posted on reallygoodpie.com, so if you want to just head over to that and download it. And yeah, so other than that, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if this helped you in any way. Thank you for watching, and this is Really Good Pie. I'll see you guys later.